Ah, Sir Arnold. What news?
That speech is causing the Prime Minister some distress. Has it definitely been released to the press?
Well, the Minister gave express instructions for noon, isn't that
I'm
right?
appalled at you, Humphrey. How could you let the Minister put himself in this position without going through the proper channels?
The Minister and I believe in open government. We want to throw open the windows and let in a bit of fresh air. Isn't that right, Minister?
Well, Minister, it's good party stuff, but it puts the Prime Minister in a very difficult situation personally.
What about our commitment to open government?
This seems to be the closed season for open government.
Do you want to give thought to a draft letter of resignation, Minister? I mean, just in case.
Could we hush it up?
Hush it up? Do you mean suppress it?
Yes, I suppose I do.
I see. You mean that within the framework of the guidelines about open government that you have laid down, you are suggesting that we should adopt a more flexible posture?
Right? Oh, yes, yes.
Excuse me, Minister, about the press release. There appears to have been a development which could precipitate a reappraisal of our position.
Oh?
Apparently, we failed to rescind the interdepartmental clearance procedure.
Oh.
The supplementary stop order came into effect.
Did it?
So it's all right, Minister. Your speech hasn't gone to the press. It's only gone to the Prime Minister's private office, and the duty officer had no instructions to pass it out without clearance from the PM and the Foreign Office, the American reference, you see.
But how come?
The fault is entirely mine, Minister. The procedure for holding up press releases dates back to before the era of open government, and I unaccountably omitted to rescind it. I do hope you'll forgive this lapse.
Well, yes, of course. That's quite all right, Humphrey, quite all right.
Thank you, Minister.
After all, we all make mistakes.
Yes, Minister.
The people of Miranda urge the Scots and the Irish to end the English oppression, cast off the imperialist yoke, and join the fellowship of free nations. Good God. Yes.
Well, Minister, we would appear to have been caught with our trousers down.
Humphrey, he can't say this in front of her.
Well, I don't like to say I told you so, but I told you so.
We're going to have egg all over our faces.
Not egg, Minister, just imperialist yoke.
3 Scottish by-elections on Thursday.
Well, yes, it is indeed a catastrophe, a tragedy, a cataclysmic, apocalyptic, monumental calamity. And you did it.
Humphrey, you're paid to advise me. Advise me.
Well, this is not unlike trying to advise the captain of the Titanic after he struck the iceberg.
Must be something we can do.
We could sing Abide With Me.
Yes?
Minister?
Ah, yes.
The Foreign Secretary would like a word.
Ah, Foreign Secretary.
Have you read this?
Yes, my minister's concerned that the government will have egg all over its face. Scotch egg, presumably.
Why is he doing it?
Well, maybe it's for home consumption. He's only just taken over. Perhaps he's trying to persuade the other African leaders that he's a pucker anti-colonialist.
Yes? Yes, Bernard.
The press officer would like a word.
Oh, dear.
Room for a little. Humphrey, do you think it's a good idea to issue a statement?
Well, Minister, in practical terms, we have the usual 6 options. 1, do nothing. 2, issue a statement deploring the scene. 3, lodge an official protest. 4, cut off aid. 5, break off diplomatic relations. And 6, declare war.
Which should we do?
Well, if we do nothing, we implicitly agree with the speech. 2, if we issue a statement, we'll just look foolish. 3, if we lodge a protest, it'll be ignored. 4, we can't cut off aid because we don't give them any. 5, if we break off diplomatic relations, we can't negotiate the oil rig contracts. And 6, if we declare war, it might just look as though we were overreacting.
In the old days, we just sent in a gunboat.
Yes.
I suppose that is absolutely out of the question. Yes.
Minister, the
Yes,
permanent
Bernard.
Under-Secretary of the Foreign Office is coming down the corridor.
It's a bit like the black hole of Calcutta.
May I come in, Minister?
You can try.
This is all we needed.
Welcome to the Standing Committee.
Sir Frederick, you've seen this abominable speech. What are we going to do about it?
Well, Minister, Foreign Secretary, I think we know what's behind it. Don't we, Humphrey?
Humphrey?
think Sir Frederick is suggesting that the offending paragraph may be, shall we say, a bargaining counter.
You mean he wants something?
But if he doesn't, why send us an advance copy?
See, well, why did you find out what it is he wants?
Because the embassy staff are all new. We've only just seen the speech, and no one knows anything about this new president.
Except me.
Except you.
How?
They were at university together. The Old Boy Network.
Hey, that was 25 years ago. He may not even remember me. No, I don't really think I could. I think you ought to see him, Sir Frederick.
No, Minister, I think you carry more weight.
Well, we're all agreed then that the mountain shall go to Mohammed.
Oh, no. Jim's going.
That's what I meant.
All right. But you'll have to come with me.
Well, of course, Minister. I'd hardly let you do it on your own. Morning, Minister. Have you read this?
Yes! I have read it. I have read it. You have read it. He has read it. We have all bloody read it. Have I made myself clear?
Abundantly, Minister.
I'm sorry. Sit down. Humphrey, we have got to slim down the civil service. How many people have we got in this department?
This department? Oh, well, very small.
Small. How small?
Oh, I don't know.
2,000? 3,000?
About 23,000, I think, Minister.
23,000? In the Department for Administrative Affairs, 23,000 people just administering other administrators? We'll have to do a time and motion study, see who we can get rid of.
We did one of those last year, Minister.
And?
It transpired we needed another 500 people. However, Minister, we could always close your bureaucratic watchdog office.
Oh, no, you don't. I've only just opened it. It's the one thing I've done since I got here.
Well, as you wish, Minister, but it has been criticised as a troublemaker's letterbox.
I know. It's very popular with the voters, Humphrey. Gives them a chance to help us find ways to stop wasting government money.
Public doesn't know anything about wasting government money. We're the experts. That's not what I meant.
Well, the bureaucratic watchdog office stays.
Well, offhand, I can't think of what else to suggest.
Are you seriously telling me that there is no way we can cut down?
Well, I suppose we could lose one or two of the tea ladies.
Oh, true. Do we should take this seriously? Tea ladies. I want the facts. I want to know who works here, what they do, what buildings we have, what goes on in them. A complete record. Then we'll know where to cut costs, cut staff, cut procedures.
The Civil Service, Minister, exists to implement legislation enacted by Parliament. As long as Parliament continues to legislate, the Civil Service must continue to... However, I'm fully seized of your requirements, Minister, and if you'll excuse me, I'll go and set the wheels in motion.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Weasel.
Weisel.
The fact of the matter is that the Civil Service and I are in complete accord over this whole business. And I'm happy to announce that we're now ready to put our proposals into publication. In fact, tonight I can say that from September the 1st, every citizen of the UK will have the absolute right to inspect his personal file and check any information that he or she has ever supplied to the government. Secondly, no civil servant will be allowed to examine personal files from another department without a written authority from a minister. And I shall be announcing in the House next week legislation enabling citizens to take legal action against any civil servant who gains unauthorized access to his file.
Encouraging, Minister. Why did you not say so in the first place and put people's minds at rest?
Frankly, I didn't believe that the civil service could meet our deadlines, Godfrey. But they've convinced me that they can, and in fact, my permanent secretary has staked his reputation on it. If not, heads will roll. Anyway, assistant heads.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Minister.
It can't be done.
It's been announced on television.
Well, Bernard, what did you make of our minister's performance?
Well, I think it's checkmate.
See me on the box last night, Humphrey?
Of course, Minister.
How was I? Good?
Most remarkable performance, Minister, if I may say so.
Oh, you may.
Thank you, Minister. Well, Minister, we've been working very hard all night. And I'm happy to be able to tell you that we have come up with some draft proposals which would enable you to achieve your desired objectives by the stated dates.
Well done, Humphrey. You see, I told the nation how splendid you were. I was right. I had every confidence in you.
Quite so, Minister.
Must have had quite a night.
Yes, Minister, quite a night.
Let's see your proposals.
Here they are.
Here are mine.
Would you have specific proposals too?
Oh, indeed I have. Now, Humphrey, you read out what you've got on safeguards, and I'll read out what I've got, and we'll see how they compare.
Personal data. 1A. Safeguards must be applied with reference to two criteria. The need to know and the right to know. 1A1. The need to know.
Only those officials for whom the information is submitted may be deemed prima facie to have a need to know. We seem to be of the same mind, Humphrey.
Indeed, Minister. Where did those proposals come from? Minister, can you hear me? Where did those proposals come from?
Humphrey, my lips are sealed.
Just one more thing, Minister. The evidence to the Central Policy Review staff.
Oh, you mean the think tank, Humphrey?
Yes, Minister.
What about it?
Have you redrafted the redraft of your draft?
You don't want it yet, do you?
Yes.
Why?
Well, so that we can redraft it.
No, that won't be necessary,
Well, I think it will, Minister.
Humphrey, drafting is not a civil service monopoly, you know.
No, it's a highly specialized skill which few outside the service can master.
Nonsense. Drafts is easy. It's a game anyone can play.
Not without getting huffed. So, could I have the draft proposal, please?
Certainly, Humphrey.
When, Minister?
Later, Humphrey.
Yes, but when?
Well, you're always saying we mustn't rush things, aren't you?
Minister, I must ask you for a straight answer. On what day? Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday?
In due course, Humphrey. At the appropriate juncture. In the fullness of time. When the moment is ripe. When the necessary procedures have been completed. Nothing precipitate, of course.
Minister, this is getting urgent.
Urgent, Humphrey? What a lot of new words we're learning.
Now, Minister, you'll forgive me if I say this, but I'm beginning to suspect that you are concealing something from me.
Oh, surely. You and I have no secrets from each other, have we, Humphrey?
I'm sorry, Minister, but sometimes one is forced to consider the possibility that affairs are being conducted in a way which, all things being considered and making all possible allowances, is, not to put too fine a point on it, perhaps not entirely straightforward.
Well, you're the expert on straightforwardness.
So what about the draft evidence to the Central Policy Review staff?
Well, since you ask, Humphrey, and to be perfectly straightforward, I have redrafted it myself. I don't want you to redraft it. I am perfectly happy with it as it is.
May I be bold enough to ask what you have said?
I've said what I wanted to say. Phased reductions in the civil service.
Yes, but
Humphrey, you have frustrated me over open government. You have frustrated me over the economy drive. But this time I'm going to have my way. The party wants it. The public wants it. And I'm bound to say that all we get from the civil service is delaying tactics.
Well, I wouldn't call civil service delays tactics, Minister. That would be to mistake lethargy for strategy.
Very droll, Humphrey. But you must realise that there is a real desire for radical reform in the air. The All-Party Select Committee on Administrative Affairs, which I founded, is a case in point. It's a great success.
Oh, indeed. What has it achieved?
Nothing yet. Hart is very pleased with it.
Ah. Why?
10 column inches in last Monday's Daily Mail for a start.
Oh, I see. The government is going to measure its success in column inches, is it?
Yes. No. Yes and no.
Now, Minister, the evidence that you're proposing to submit is not only untrue, it is also, which is much more serious, unwise. Now, we've been through all this before. The expansion of the civil service is the result of parliamentary legislation, not bureaucratic empire building.
So when this next comes up at question time, you want me to tell Parliament that it's their fault that the civil service is too big?
But it's the truth, Minister.
I don't want the truth. I want something I can tell Parliament. Humphrey, you're my permanent secretary. You're supposed to enact my policies, yet I still don't understand why you seem implacably opposed to them. I must know where you stand on all this.
Where one stands, Minister, depends upon where one sits.
Am I to infer that you'll not support me?
Oh, we'll always support you, Minister, but as your standard-bearer, not as your pall-bearer.
Humphrey, what are you saying?
I should have thought it was crystal clear, Minister. Do not send this report to a body whose recommendations are to be published.
That is exactly why I'm sending it. Now, I don't want to hear any more about it. So you think this might not get into the national press?
Well, a few lines on the inside page of The Guardian, but nothing to worry about. Actually, it's only the urban middle class who worry about the preservation of the countryside because they don't have to live in it. Would that be all, Minister?
Yes. No, this may well blow over, but it doesn't answer my basic question.
Which was?
Why wasn't I told about it before I made the announcement?
There are those who have argued, and indeed cogently, that on occasion there are some things it is better for a minister not to know.
What are you talking about?
Minister, your answers in the House and at the press conference were superb. You were convincing and convinced. The critics were silenced, but could you have spoken with the same authority if the ecological pressure group had been badgering you?
But I have a right to know. I am the people's representative. What right have you got to withhold this information from me? It's intolerable.
It's in your own best interest, Minister.
What do you mean there are some things it is better for a minister not to know? I mean, it's outrageous. It must not occur again. And it so happens that I've got a plan here for the reorganization of this department which will ensure that it doesn't.
Indeed?
Yes, indeed. Now, if I were to have one undersecretary and two assistant secretaries reporting directly to me...
Minister,
no,
please.
No, just a moment, Humphrey. Let me tell you my plan.
The plan is immaterial. Minister, I have something to say to you which you may not like to hear.
Why should today be any different?
Minister, the traditional allocation of executive responsibilities has always been so determined as to liberate the ministerial incumbent from the administrative minutiae by devolving the managerial functions to those whose experience and qualifications have better formed them for the performance of such humble offices, thereby releasing their political overlords for the more onerous duties and profound deliberations which are the inevitable concomitant of their exalted position.
Now, whatever made you think I wouldn't want to hear that?
Well, I thought it might upset you.
How could it? I didn't understand a single word. Humphrey, for God's sake, for once in your life, put it into plain English.
If you insist. You are not here to run this department.
I beg your pardon?
You are not here to run this department.
I think I am. The people think I am, too.
With respect, Minister, you are... they are wrong.
And who does run this department?
I do.
I see. And what am I supposed to do?
We've been through all this before. Make policy, get legislation enacted, and above all, secure the department's budget in Cabinet.
I sometimes think that the budget is all you ever really care about.
Well, it is rather important, Minister. If nobody cared about the budget, we might end up with a department so small that even a minister could run it.
Humphrey, are we about to have a fundamental disagreement about the nature of democracy?
No, Minister, merely a demarcation dispute. What I mean is that the menial chore of running a department is beneath you. You're fashioned for a nobler calling.
Well, I'm quite prepared to leave the routine paperwork to you, but I must insist on direct access to all information. Never again do I want to hear that phrase, there are some things it is better for a minister not to know. Is that clear?
Well, Minister, I do
That is an order, Humphrey.
As you say, Minister, if that is what you really want.
It's treating cabinet ministers as though they were irresponsible 10-year-olds.
Miss Hacker intends to join the Badger protest.
Oh, I thought it was over.
No, she and her boyfriend are going to conduct a 24-hour Save the Badgers vigil in Hayward Spinney unless a protection order is restored. And they're putting their announcement out to the press at 5 p.m.
Minister's daughter in Badger protest vigil. That's a little embarrassing, but it's not too serious.
Sir Humphrey, I think the minister is going to be more than a little embarrassed.
What do you mean?
Minister's daughter in nude Badger protest.
What?
Yes, Miss Hacker and her boyfriend will be, that is, will not be. I mean, yes.
Do you mean Starkers, Bernard?
Yes, Sir Humphrey.
I see. Well, this puts a different complexion on it.
Yeah, especially in this weather.
Put in true journalistic terms, this makes it a big story. Front page with photograph.
Now, Humphrey. Something the matter? Well,
Well, shall we say a slight embarrassment, Minister?
how slight?
Well, without wishing in any sense to overstate the case or cause undue alarm, nevertheless, the
Oh,
fact
come
remains
on,
that-
Humphrey, out with it.
Minister, I have a confession to make.
Oh, that's a change. Oh. Come on, Humphrey. Make a clean breast of it.
Not the happiest of phrases under the
How do you mean?
I have to confess that the badges in Hayward Spinney may turn out to be a somewhat bigger story than we thought.
No. Don't tell me they're going to have kittens.
No, it's not the badgers who are going to have kittens, Minister. There's going to be a 24-hour protest vigil in Hayward Spinney.
Well, you told me it wouldn't be very newsworthy.
No, it's slightly different, Minister. It's to be conducted by a girl student and her boyfriend.
What, just the two of them?
Yes.
Well, they don't matter, do they? Pair of irresponsible layabouts.
Well, they might matter to some people.
Nonsense, Bernard! Everybody's fed up with these ghastly students. They're just exhibitionists, you know.
Well, in this case, it would seem they have something to exhibit. It's to be a nude protest vigil.
I see. Yes, that would make the front pages.
Yes, quite so.
Well, the press just mustn't find out. Oh, really? I don't know what gets into these students. It's appalling. They're shameless.
Indeed, Minister.
It's their parents, you know. They don't bring them up properly. Just let them run wild and then feed them all this trendy, middle-class, anti-establishment nonsense.
Well, perhaps it isn't entirely the parents' fault, Minister.
Oh, of course it is. Authority, Humphrey. All this student anarchy is a shocking indictment of their parents' lack of authority and discipline. So they just take it out on innocent people like me. Who are they? Do we know?
Well, we know the young lady's name.
Lady? Huh. Who is she?
Well, it seems she's a Miss Hacker.
Oh, that's my name. That's a coincidence.
Not a complete coincidence.
Not Lucy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
As you see, she will be telephoning in 10 minutes' time.
Perhaps the press won't be all that interested. No, yeah. But will they really think it worthwhile going all the way up to Warwickshire?
For a story like this, I fear they'll think it worth going all the way to the South Pole. Good morning, Minister.
Morning, Humphrey. Morning, Bernard. Sorry I'm late. Just put them on the desk, would you, George?
Yes, sir.
I'll be about an hour. I don't want to be late at Broadcasting House.
Right, sir.
What's this broadcast all about, by the way? NATO, isn't it?
No, Minister. Partnerships and industry.
Oh, yes. Knew it was something like that. Who else is in it?
It's all in there, Minister. An employer and a trade unionist, as usual.
Joe Morgan. Wasn't he the TUC representative on the Solihull project?
Minister,
Yes, Humphrey.
Minister, you are not proposing to refer to the Solihull project on the air?
Certainly. I regard it as a shining example of cooperation between the government and private industry.
Yes, but all the same, I would be much happier if it were omitted.
Why?
Well, don't you think it's rather premature?
Certainly not. Building started months ago.
Exactly. Rather out of date, in fact.
Premature and out of date.
Well, untimely. Don't you think it'd be rather uninteresting to the general public?
Certainly not. It's something that's going on right now. Extremely interesting.
Yes, quite so. So interesting, in fact, that there is a danger that it might obscure your main point, perhaps.
What is my main point?
Bernard, what's the Minister's main point?
Yes, that private projects are more socially responsible with government money, and government projects are more efficient with private investment.
There I see. It underlines my main point. You really are a wet blanket, aren't you, Humphrey? Just go about stirring up apathy.
Minister, I must seriously advise you, with all the earnestness at my command, not to refer to the Solihull project on the air today.
Why?
What?
I said why.
Why?
Why?
Well, Minister,
Couldn't be that you're planning to take the credit for this yourself, could it? at next month's European Convention of Government Administration?
I beg your pardon.
Your keynote speech will make very good reading, won't it? Well, let me tell you a few facts of life, Humphrey. It is politicians who are responsible ultimately to the people, and it is we who get the credit, not civil servants.
Minister, I would be perfectly happy for you to have the credit for this project, but I must beg, beseech, and implore you not today.
No, it's no good, Humphrey. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to get all the political capital I can out of the Solihull project.
Minister, I must
know a good
strongly...
thing when I see one.
Please, Minister, do listen to...
No,
Minister...
No. Humphrey.
What?
£7.5 million, probable bankrupt proceeding, imminent collapse of project. Well, imminent collapse of project? Humphrey, why didn't you tell me all this before?
Minister, I am deeply conscious of the heavy burdens
When
of
this
your
becomes
office.
public knowledge, it'll be all over the front pages. It's a public scandal, a disaster.
It's appalling.
Wait a minute, Jim. Look, this report is dated before the election. You're in the clear. You're laughing.
Yes, but unfortunately, under the Convention of Ministerial Responsibility, the blame
But
must...
everyone will know it wasn't Jim.
Quite so, but the principle of democratic accountability requires the occasional human sacrifice when the pack is baying for blood. Isn't that right, Minister?
Surely he has only to point to the dates.
Oh, a lesser man might try to wriggle out of it, but there is only one honourable course open, as the Minister is well aware.
Don't you think Frank might have a point?
Except, of course, only today, Minister, you have publicly identified yourself with the success of the project.
My God, the broadcast!
Yes, Minister.
When's it going out?
Well, it's due for transmission about now, Minister.
No.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Get onto the BBC at once.
Yes, Minister.
Stop it, Bernard.
Stop what, Minister? Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, Minister, I wish you luck, but you know what the BBC are
This
like.
is crisis. An emergency. This is a scandal.
Of course, I'm sure if you were to put it like that,
Yeah.
they might
Might what?
move it to peak listening time.
Any luck, Bernard?
I'd just like to find out that there is a perfect example of what can be done. It's going on up in Solihull now, and government money and private investment in real partnership, and it does seem to me symbolic of everything this government is working for. I've taken a great deal of personal interest in the Solihull project, and it's not just words, it's actually there in bricks and mortar.
Symbolic of everything this government is working on.
Humphrey, how could you let me say all those things?
Minister, I can only advise. I did advise. I advised most
Yeah.
strongly, but when the advisor's advice is unheeded...
All right. Advise me, now.
Certainly, Minister. Now, it is possible that the bank may take over the contract from Bradley and Sloan Enterprises Limited, and all will be well.
The bank? Fine. Well,
The
let's...
bank, however, is hesitant. But it so happens that the director in charge is to retire next year, and he's anxious to find another appointment. A chairmanship of a quango, for instance.
Well, give him one. Give him that one you were reserving for that idiot Desmond Glazebrook. Who is the director in charge?
Desmond Glazebrook.
He's not a bad chap.
He's always attacking the government in public.
Yes, well, it does us good sometimes to appoint our opponents. I mean, you know, it's democratic, statesmanlike. Yes, I've changed my mind. I think that's a very good appointment.
But you can't.
Oh, shut up, Frank. Anybody else know about this?
Well, apart from ourselves and the bank and Michael Bradley, only the union representative on the project.
Joe Morgan, of course. That's what was behind his special Birmingham allowance claim. Blackmail.
That's quite so, Minister.
Humphrey, I've been thinking, if Desmond Glazebrook is going to be chairman, he'll need some support, won't he? Now, I was thinking of a deputy chairman, someone with real experience of industry.
An excellent thought, Minister.
Is there anyone you could advise me would be particularly appropriate, do you think? A trade unionist, for example?
What about Joe Morgan, Minister?
Joe Morgan? Excellent idea. Well done, Humphrey.
Oh, it takes two to quango, Minister.